All right, hey, we're at this week's Learning Bitcoin and Design call, and we our topic from this week is a little different than usual. Instead of broader, more technical, lightning-focused questions, we're going to talk a little bit about Mili and David's experience at the hackathon this past week, and then, depending on where that conversation takes us, maybe get into some kind of LNBits, LNURL kind of discussions, depending on what everybody feels like. But just for context, for anyone who might be watching this on the recording later, so yesterday the Shock the Web hackathon ended, which is basically a week-long virtual event that was put on by the Bolt Fun group, which is kind of a sub community of Bitcoin design. It's kind of focused on getting makers and builders, designers, developers collaborating together to build stuff on top of Lightning. And so Mili and David had participated in that and had a really cool idea for kind of overhauling, creating a Lightning-powered co-working payment system. So, and I know you guys had some questions about LNBits earlier in the week, so I really just wanted to turn it over to you two and kind of let you talk about your project, because I thought it was really cool, and just wanted to figure out what your kind of takeaways from the event were.
Do you want to talk first, David, or?
You go first, Militia, and then do you want to share some of the stuff that you done on Figma first, and then I can just sort of show what we built.
Sure. Yeah. Let me open my Figma. Okay, so. Just gonna close some work stuff that I'm not allowed to share right now. Okay, so for the hackathon, we did. Sorry, my screen is a little bit. I don't know what's going on, but my computer doesn't show like my Figma work that I've done. Ironically, oh no, because it's on yours. Sorry, I'm a mess. Okay, just let me figure this out.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, and this is the hackathon website right here for everyone to see.
Yeah, that's really good. I just wanted to say something earlier to the topics. I'm also, I don't think we necessarily just have to talk about technical topics. I'm also curious if there's an interest, and maybe there's something we can ask about. If people are interested in discussing usage life cycles, user research, open design, the other things like the visual language of Bitcoin, just open up the topics a bit more, maybe things around the design process in open source, these types of things.
Yeah, sounds good.
Throw it out.
Why don't we put a sticky note on here for everything you just said?
Yeah, I agree, Crystal. Pretty much everything you said sounded like interesting things that I would enjoy talking about, so happy to contribute and all of that.
What were some of the other things you mentioned?
I basically just listed all the pages in the getting started section of the guide.
Gotcha.
But yeah, even just figuring as a designer, figuring out how to get work done in open source can be kind of tricky. How to propose work and the consensus thing around design. I find these topics super interesting. Not sure if others like to discuss them, but something we could suggest. See what people like.
Yeah, even like just looking into open source as a or looking into open source as and design as a concept would be interesting to talk about. Like was it like PenPod was a tool mentioned before that I I downloaded it, but I never actually used again. But it was pretty cool. And there's probably lots of other, open source like design tools that people know about, but can teach other people about and stuff. But I'd be interested in talking about open source and design more, like definitely not just on a Bitcoin context.
Yeah, definitely me too, because it's the first time that I participated in open source design, and it's sort of maybe not as intuitive to participate in it, like compared, of course, like to a company or something like that. All right, I can show you a little bit like the work that we've done. I mean, you see my screen, right?
Yeah, we can
Sure
see it.
thing.
Okay, so we just did like a quick asynchronous design sprint, basically. So we started first of all with how might we trying to understand what would be the problems that we need to solve for this hackathon, especially on the technical side of things, since to be able to send a payment through people's devices needs to be always on. At the beginning, we had this idea of the QR code on the table and people scan it there. So this is what we've done first. And then just a short product definitions. At the beginning, we said can you rent the desk by the minute, but it's a little bit complicated to do that, and maybe not so possible given the time that we had during the hackathon. So that idea was rejected pretty soon, because anyways, we were thinking if a user rents a desk, he wants to make sure that the desk is available for at least a few days. You don't want to worry every day, oh, am I gonna have a place to rent a desk, basically. And then we just went into some core functionality. We wanted the user to be notified if a desk is free, or if, for example, the desks are taken. And also let you see how much time you have booked it. And then after that, we went on who people will be using it, mostly freelancer, entrepreneurs, startups, small to medium-sized enterprise, and also the administrator of the co-working space. In Warrior Time, that was a little bit less relevant, to be honest, but a nice exercise to do. The user to be able to scan a static QR code on this one, whatever mobile wallet they have. But honestly, for the next hackathon, I think I would not skip the design sprint, but shorten some things up. For example, the long-term goal for a hackathon project, it's nice to think about it, but I think I could put time on something else and refining the design and that kind of stuff. So the biggest challenges was how we make the administrator track their payments and rental. How do we go around the problem of wallet needing to be always online? How do we utilize the capacity of the space most efficiently? And how do we keep track of people clearing the desk and notify people? And then we just went into a little mapping session. Basically the flow, a draft of the flow. And then we just went a little bit of research inspiration. This is where I think it's really useful for wireframing and that kind of stuff. But I think that could be shortened definitely in terms of the hackathon. And then we did some sketches by hand regarding how they can people use the app. So For example, like the QR code to start paying the rent, and a map of the space, ideally. And then we turn out into like those wireframes, like choosing a location of the co-working space, choosing the dates, and based on the dates, it will show which desk is available. They click on a seat, they rent it, they scan, and at the end, they show them that how much they have rented. And then we went onto the administrator side, and just to show like how we can manage the rentals, also to be able like to add the location or add a desk. And if, for example, they add a desk, then they select the location, select the floor. We had also this idea of hot desk and fixed desk to be different. Basically, the hot desk would be like anybody can use it, and a fixed desk is like it's your desk like for this period of time. There's no people that can use it other than you. And then confirming they want to add this desk, and the desk 11 was added successfully. So this is what we did design-wise. I mean, of course, it's very different from the end of the product because of the limitation that we had. And this was one of the challenge, I would say, at least for me, to comply with those like technical limitation that Lightning has. And I think David will be the best person to tell how we integrate all these ideas and trying to fit with the limitation. What do you think, David?
Yeah, I'll share my screen here. Okay. So so basically everything Mili showed you, we worked on for like sort of the first couple of days of the hackathon while the sort of the talks were going on, and whenever so we spent a lot of time learning about like listening to the coaches and learning about Lightning and learning about just all the cool talks that were going on, and then we spent it's more like the Saturday just working on the project. So a lot of the design work that we did and we didn't actually fully implement into the end thing. There's a couple of different reasons for that, and just more to do with like trying to be really focused on just getting something that would actually work, that we could submit. So I'll show you quickly what we actually submitted compared to the Figma stuff that we had put together. So one of the talks originally, whenever we were going to build it, I had thought about using BTC Pay, but we went to one of the talks from one of the coaches who was showing LNBits, and it was just really cool. And he sort of gave us like a bit of a one-to-one on like how to use LNBits, and I was just fascinated about how it all works. So we actually spun up our own node, or our own like node with Luna node, and set up our own LNBit server, which was cool. And so this isn't it, but this is just the legend on LNBits. So I can show you how that works, where if you were just to set up a new test wallet, you can create a new test wallet, or you basically with LNBits you can create a Bitcoin wallet or Lightning wallet, and then they have all these different extensions that you can use, which is again really fascinating and really sort of easy, especially for my background, where I'm more of a no coder and a designer than an actual like a full stack developer. It gives you just a lot of the stuff that's pre-made, and whenever, for example, if you set up one of the extensions, you have access to their API information. So it means you can push and pull stuff from the API back and forth. So what we were able to do was put together a really quick MVP where we sort of changed the concept a bit from being focused solely on co-working spaces to maybe like an Airbnb style thing, where like anybody can take a photograph of their own desk if they have a spare desk in the office. So the concept could still be used in co-working spaces, but the idea would be like anyone can like rent out a desk, and whenever they do that, so I'll show you quickly how they would do it. So they would list the desk, and they would just say what dates the desk available, and where it is. They would name the desk. and maybe number it. And they would say how many sats it was. They could then take a photograph of the desk if they wanted. I don't know what photo they have. And then they could, so whenever the photograph is put up, they would just submit it. And then what's happening here is actually that's getting submitted to an Airtable, which is another no-code tool. And when that there happens, that actually triggers a response to the LNBits server, and it creates an LN. It's a LN pay link, LN URL pay link, and then what that does, it actually creates the LN pay link, and then that sends it back to the website and embeds it as a blog post, similar to here. So what that is, it embeds a unique invoice that then the user can then scan, and whenever they scan, the payment goes to the Bitcoin wallet on the LNBits server, and it then triggers the status to booked rather than being available. So it's a real sort of hacky way of doing things, but it's a cool way to sort of just test like an MVP. And obviously, if we were to progress this further, you would need like a login system built in, and you would need to like have different ways to maybe list things properly and stuff like that. But that's just for me personally, like just jumping in and learning about Lightning, learning about Bitcoin. It was just a class experience to get in there and play about with stuff. And I think LNBits is really cool. Like I don't know, obviously there's lots of cons with it. Like there's stuff I was not sure about. Like it seems very open. Like Stephen, I was chatting to you on Slack during the week, and I was saying like I wasn't sure about how it was very, like if anyone really has access to this user link, they get access to everything really. So in terms of like getting sats out and stuff like that, so it seems a bit strange. But just as a concept, it's as a way to sort of muck about with Lightning, it's class, very cool. So that's all I'm going to show you today. Look, let's go.
It's super cool. I really always like seeing the hackiness of all these projects too, because that's kind of what makes it special, right? That you just you tape and glue these things together, and you still end up with something really cool. Where you're thinking, how did that happen in just a few days?
Yeah, no, that's why I love the fact that I was able to just get something that worked, sort of. It's fun, it's good. It's a class experience. So.
I don't think did the designs make it into the presentation yesterday, like the early stuff.
Yeah, we showed it in the.
Okay, I remember seeing the sticky notes. I just didn't remember seeing the other stuff. Yeah, those are really nice looking stuff. Like a lot, like I really enjoyed seeing all the like the desk diagrams and all that kind of stuff, or your the hot desk versus fixed desk selection and all of that. So LNBits seems like it was pretty easy to work with, because you consider yourself more of a designer. Is that right, David?
Yeah. So I'm a design background, but I've sort of been like working as a front-end developer a lot of my career. So I know how to hack stuff together, but I would know.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But definitely more of a designer. But LNBits was, if you want, I just think it's really cool. Like it's so cool. Whenever I was able to just send Satoshis to an LNBits server, I was just blown. I was like, what? This is so mad. This is class. So the next step is I need to actually work out how to run my own node and then set up LNBits from that, maybe, or like set up LNBits on my own node and then send sats to it and back. I don't know. A lot of learning to do still learn that.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think I guess you kind of have your own node if you're running it on Luna node. Like I think that's like a cloud instance that you're paying for or something like that. So insofar as that you trust Luna node, you trust your cloud provider, have a good relationship with all of that, then it's kind of your node. But do you mean like running it on a home node or something like that?
Something like that, like maybe just like transfer on my own thing on a Raspberry Pi or something, and then or an old Mac or something like that, maybe. Or
yeah.
Question. So when I saw the LNBits during the presentation by Ben, and also in the other places, and just now again, it seems like it's fairly easy to build extension. And I was just wondering if they could be used to prototype some stuff. For example, in the guide, we have this whole contact system. I spent a lot of time thinking through that, and I would just love to see that in a wallet because it simplifies handling transactions and makes them so much more easy to understand when it's not just, you know, an address or a node ID or so. And I was wondering if for that and maybe like the transaction screen, a few other things, those could actually be pretty turned into usable proof of concepts in the form of LNBits extensions.
Possibly, yeah. I think so, yeah. That's one thing I was sort of wish I had done more as well with the hackathon, was actually use the guide properly, as in like maybe that's something I would do with the next one, is to try to actually like take a lot of the stuff that you have put in there and implement it into a hackathon. So like that's something as well that would be cool to consider for the guide, Christoph, is just to have like maybe you click through to the prototype and it is actually, you know, something that's working. Is that what you mean? Like maybe if you like showing live examples in the guide of
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly. If LNBits basically allows anyone to pretty quickly set up a Lightning wallet and make transactions, and has, you know, web development is pretty quick and straightforward compared to mobile development, then it could be a potentially really good place to create, you know, real prototypes with real data. If LNBits really makes it super easy to just make an API call and get all the transactions in the wallet, or get the balance, or store, you know, contact names in like a custom database for the extension or so, that could be pretty cool proofs of concept to validate some of the stuff in the guide that we came up with, some of the reference designs, and maybe that then would inspire some wallet developers to implement things.
Definitely. I think that's a good idea.
Do you know what like language is goes into the LNBits extensions?
I don't know. I know it was the latest version of LNBits is written in Go, I think, but in terms of extensions, I think I don't think it can be used really. I'm not sure. Like everything is up in GitHub.
Yeah, I was just curious about it. Check out the GitHub docs. It doesn't matter too much. I was just curious. Can run on top of any Lightning Network funding support. LND, C Lightning, LNPay. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of LNPay before. LNBits as an account system.
I think
Oh yeah, there's.
I used. So I used to Lunanode and then used LNPay, and they have quite good YouTube stuff, to be fair to them. Like, I think it's just banned, but it's under the LNBits YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And Mili, I know you said you had some kind of questions about LNBits, like during the hackathon. Like now that you've completed a project using LNBits, how do you feel? Is there still kind of more things you're trying to wrap your head around?
I feel there's definitely like more things I need to wrap my head around, but because like when Ben Ark was giving us all these tips and all that, I had like difficulty following because it was quite. I mean, it doesn't seem as technical. I mean, if like David is able to do it, I'm surely like I would be able to do it. But I think I just need like to play with it. I'm just not really understanding like. I know it's gonna sound bad, but like the exact use for it. Why is it called like LNBits? Like why this was created to facilitate things. That's basically it. Maybe my idea is not too clear. I feel like it's some sort of shortcut to help people to have Lightning on whatever like product they need. Yeah, sorry, I'm just blabbling, but if it
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The way I see it is that you know, with LNBits, I think they're trying to make these kind of pre-built extensions for like things people might commonly need to do on Lightning. So wish we could like see this picture a little bit bigger. Here we go. I'm just going to open that in a new tab.
If you go into legend.lnbits.com, you can just create a wallet on the fly, and then you can get access to all the extensions. And then the bottom left, you go to manage extensions. You can just add whatever you want.
Let's play with some dice here. Huh. What does this do? Do you know, David?
So that creates so then you basically, if you scan that with a wallet, then that puts sats into your Steven test wallet.
But I'm guessing there's some kind of random component to it if it's dice.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't actually looked at the dice element yet.
Okay,
Yeah.
Interesting. List sats dices. Yeah. Get sats dice link. I'm probably sharing like a bunch of information in this recording with like all these API keys and stuff like that. So I'm not actually going to use this wallet for anything important, but that's kind of interesting. I mean, Mili, the way I look at it is that, these are things that people would commonly need to use from a web server that integrates with a Lightning node. So it's like, if you think of like the Lightning node as being the, I'm trying to think about this. Like if you think about like, a web server and it has all of this, underlying technical architecture that the developers are going to use to build projects with, like databases and back-end processes and things like that. Maybe that's synonymous with the Lightning node, LND or C Lightning or something like that. This is the underlying architecture, and I think that what they're trying to do with LNBits is build a higher layer on top of that. So if you think about like kind of like a template for a website, you might deploy a template for a website because many people are going to use the same type of website over and over again. So we have these templates and systems like that for building websites. I see this as kind of like templates for building services on top of Lightning. Like he knows that everybody is going to want, like people commonly need to create paywalls on the web. So if you can just build this as an extension, then that makes it easier for people to do paywalls on Lightning. And I think the POS was another one that sounded pretty promising. Where is that? TPOS, a shareable POS terminal. So it's like, if everybody's going to need a point of sale terminal, then we can just build this really easy to use point of sale terminal, and everybody who needs it can use that.
That makes sense. Definitely.
See, it looks like I've just spun up a POS right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart. It's very cool.
And then it just generated a Lightning invoice, and then I'm just going to pay that. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I know I have this installed on my node. I haven't never quite found the time to dive into it and fiddle around with it. It's a pretty awesome project.
Yeah, it blew my mind a wee bit, to be honest. Like I was just like, wow, this is all open source, and it's all responsive as well. It's pretty good, nice UI. It's whoever is behind it all has done a good job.
Yeah, that works very nice.
Yeah, and see that if you hit the top right, you can change the colors and all. It's quite a nice feature, like.
Nice. Light mode, dark mode. Yeah, it's like it's simple, but it's thoughtful.
Yeah, I think like you can. So if you whenever you sort of spin up your own server, you can then sort of change because it's all open source as well. You can change like the LNBits to whatever you want, I guess, and you can change stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm gonna have to dive into this one more. I understand it conceptually, I think, but you're probably far more experienced with it than I am now, David.
I was just thinking, like, if so, in an ideal world, because my mind thinks, I guess, because I've been working as a web designer, selling websites to people, like an ideal world where like businesses want to use Lightning for stuff. You've got like a lot of stuff here where you could potentially say, oh, you could use this feature to get paid, or you could use this feature to get paid. There's a lot of stuff there, like.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's gotten to the point now, like on the website of things, where it's like, for a small business, a kind of like basic stack for a website, a 5-page website is just going to be like a WordPress with a page builder, and you can deploy that for any small business, and they can log in and tweak things. You can start mixing and matching things with plugins, and if you want to extend to that to have some kind of customer application form, you install a plugin like Gravity Forms, and then they can, a non-technical user could very easily go in and start constructing a multi-page form, stuff like that. You can see the same thing kind of happening with LNBits here, where it's like, yeah, a small business could install something like this, and maybe they have a web designer or somebody that they consult with who helps them set it up the first time. But beyond that, they can probably log in and maybe install a couple of extensions or kind of manage things, from a daily basis on their own.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And so Luna Node will just install this out of the box for you?
No, there's a few things you had to do, but I followed one of his tutorials online.
You see, where it's going to like be really cool is when somebody has an out of the box install for it, because like I used this, me and my team used one of these projects and a hackathon in the past, and they let's see, you can just you can spin up a Lightning node with them, but like interestingly enough, they offer these out of the box BTC Pay server installs, and ooh, man, that's a slick looking bee there. I mean, the BTC Pay server looks cool, but this one like has extra, it's just extra green. Oh man. But you can just because they know it's like a thing that people commonly want. They want to use BTC Pay server, so they'll just offer you an out of the box one. I think that's kind of synonymous with just how all these websites started doing these one-click WordPress installs. So I think that might be the kind of thing where LNBits like really takes off, and they get a company like Voltage to do a one-click LNBits install.
Yeah, definitely. I wonder if that's something even we could, as a community, like work with LNBits, where it's like, how do you improve LNBits for onboarding experience for designers or whatever? It's just an idea popped in, because always to do that, you would just need to have a couple of scripts running, really, wouldn't you? That automates that process, I guess.
That seems like it. And you asked that question there. This kind of segues up into a topic that Christoph raised, or I think that when Christoph was raising his points, you mentioned that not entirely, or no, Mili said this. Doesn't matter who said it. Point is, somebody said not intuitive about how to get involved in open source, specifically from a designer's perspective. So maybe we dig into that here with LNBits. So let's say LNBits, you want to make it easier for a designer or just kind of, junior web developer or somebody to get up and running without too much hassle. How would you do that? How would you engage with that community? So let me think about this for a second. Let's go to lnbits.com and see if we can dig up any information about that. Obviously, we have a big GitHub link up here at the top now. I'm curious if their website has any kind of call to actions or anything, how to get involved, yada, yada, yada. Check out the GitHub docs, YouTube, and awesome LNBits. Get involved, connect with us, LNBits community. Looks like they've got a Telegram group right there and an email address. Let's go see what's on their GitHub page. So what I'm looking for here again is just anything that kind of is like, how do I get involved in the community? What is the proposed way to propose changes to this project? All of that kind of stuff. Okay. I don't see anything there, just fine. My next kind of question is, well, are there any issues open in the repository that are similar to the one that you mentioned about kind of like a one-click install? And many of these could be bugs. So I'm curious what their labeling system looks like. Bounty, someone's paying for it, bug, dependencies, enhancement. Looks like they have labels here for specific extensions like the paywall or the LNURLP pay kind of thing. I'm curious to see if we go to the enhancements, if there's any saving wallet to local storage, handy backup tool, fees and remove, passes of HTTP wallet backend, login system, admin area. So just like glancing through just these issues here, I don't really see anything that looks exactly like what you were describing, David, but I'm curious if I hit the new issue button, do they, okay, so there's no forms or anything. Let's see, if you look at a browser option, you can also take a look at the open source guide. Okay. Another thing I want to check for just real quick before I, say open an issue here or pretend like I'm going to open an issue, see if they have like a contributing file. Just anything, I'm looking for the word contribute. Okay, just contributors. So there's no like, some projects will have like a file that's like, contributors.markdown, and it's like how, they have kind of guidelines for how they want you to engage with their project. So what I've just done here is I've gone through and kind of done my due diligence and, tried to look on their website and on their GitHub page if I could find, a specific way that they want us to engage with their project and contribute. I haven't found that. So the two things we can do is just join their community Telegram and hope they're friendly, which they most likely are, and or we could open an issue. And I would probably, well, it looks like they're going to need to apply the label for you, but I bet if you opened up an issue here, David, and said like, could there be a one-click install script and say, how might we make it quicker for people to set up LNBits, on their own node or something? Could there be sort of an automated install script so that, service providers or, anything like that could have a way to, set it up without any fuss? And then they're either going to come back, I think, and say, well, this is already exists. Have you seen this tutorial? Have you seen this page? That might be your chance to jump in and say, okay, I had trouble finding that. Could we add that on the website somewhere, something like that? Or they might say, no, it hasn't been built. And then maybe that's where they say, would you like to help us build it? Would you like to take this on? Maybe as a designer, that would be a good place to kind of design like a Figma flow or something to that effect that kind of demonstrates exactly what you think this feature should have in it.
Cool.
Thank you for that.
Man, I've got a million tabs open here.
Yeah, the LNBits doesn't make it obvious how to build an extension or how to contribute or whatnot.
Yeah, I think that's the kind of documentation problem. I think I see this a lot in Bitcoin and Lightning, where there'll be a project that's really, really incredibly powerful, and sometimes it's not always obvious how it is that you're supposed to build on it or how you're supposed to use it, and all of that. But maybe that's another kind of way to get involved, because when you see a project that where you're not entirely clear on how to do something, I think documentation is a really valuable way to get involved in open source, and it's a valuable way to get involved that it's needed, I think, on many projects, and you also don't have to be a full-on developer to contribute in that way. Sometimes it's about asking people the right questions, asking people how to do things, and then translating what they say in the documentation. Or maybe, if the website, I'm not sure if the website is on GitHub, but it's the kind of thing where you might be able to make a pull request and update it and add some more information to it. So I think that, yeah, the documentation is something that can really benefit a lot of projects out there.
I mean, if you think about it, it's also in the best interest of the project, because the users will be more informed. They'll better know what this thing does and how it works and how to help out and how to help improve it. Maybe in the Telegram, the developers don't have to answer the same questions 1,000 times, maybe only 500 times.
Exactly. Yeah, the LNBits.org thing is broken. That link is there. For more CSS, see this website for more detailed documentation, but it's not. So, hey, maybe that's since you enjoyed working with LNBits, David, you should submit an issue or something like that. Let them know that this link is broken right here, because you're looking for documentation on how to use it, you tried following the link and it wasn't there. So that'd be a good way. Just that's kind of like a good, I think just opening an issue and communicating with people is another way to really good way to get involved in open source.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, the their link is actually legend.lnbits/docs. I worked out one. I think I went into the Telegram and spoke to them, and I don't know why the docs weren't working. The API as well. There was a couple of the actual examples, where the API was wrong. But then I wasn't sure if maybe they were just having the incorrect API link. So then maybe people don't throttle it but it probably is good to put in a pull request like you're saying, though. Definitely.
No, this is cool. Little Swagger link here. It's nice. Yeah, so it's like, and these kinds of things are really good. I always like these Swagger pages, because they kind of just give you a no nonsense list of every single thing that you can do with the API. But sometimes it's not always the best if you're like it's not always as good as like a getting started guide or something like that.
Yeah.
These things are always handy to have. Well, I'll tell you what, we're getting kind of close on the hour here. So I was thinking maybe we could just think about for next time spending some kind of time looking at these topics here. And I was just going to try real quick to maybe map some of this. We could spend some time looking at. It can be interesting to just spend a session looking at PenPot, because it's actually a topic that's come up a lot over the past year or so.
Yeah.
I think
that'd be cool, dude. Just to muck about with it, like, and see what maybe we could post to the community. This is what we've done with PenPot or something. I don't know, but just because it does seem like a really cool tool. It's just there's a couple of things where it's a wee bit buggy, but it's actually a lot better than you think it's going to be. Like,
we should spend that. That could actually be a really good learning Bitcoin and design call. We could just spend like 40 minutes trying to like do an exercise together, working around in PenPot, and then take what we learned from that and go open up issues in their repository.
Yeah,
I'm serious, because like that's the thing is everyone is like, that's because that's the same thing I say, and it's the same thing I hear everybody else say. They're like, "Oh man, PenPod, it's so good, it's so good." There's just like a couple of things that make it not usable for professional use. It's like, well, maybe if we messed around with it and then we let them know what our feedback is, then that'll help them out. So I think like this could be like a really good candidate for another call. I've used such life cycle on there twice. Yeah.
The PenPod team is super nice. I've shared some general feedback with them before a year ago or so, which was around generally how design tools are not that great for open source collaboration right now, and Figma is not good at it either. It's easy to share a link and we can all work on it, but it's not good for a open collaboration in a way that GitHub is, where code's in the public. Somebody can say, hey, I want an issue. I'd like something to be improved. Some other random person, some anonymous person can say, okay, I'm going to do it, open a pull request. And, there's just all these mechanisms built in to collaborate in a pretty loose and, pseudonymous way. And our design tools don't really have that. So I was just sharing some of the feedback with them, some of those thoughts there. Because it'd be amazing to have that in the future.
Yeah, I would love that.
That would be so sick if they are able to figure it out so it works like for open source. It would be amazing.
Yeah, because
maybe they can if we help them.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I really wish I could submit a PR to a Figma file. Like there's no way to if you have a big community Figma file that you can there's no way that you can make a change to it without basically I guess emailing or messaging the person who owns that Figma file and asking them to copy and paste your work into it.
Have you ever used Abstract, Stephen, or anyone on the call? I've never used it, but I think that's what they were trying to do. I don't know if it went anywhere, but I know there was a good design team, but
yeah, Abstract. That's what they tried to do, and it basically turned into. I think it was even built on top of Git, a design versioning system. And at the time, I didn't really know much about GitHub and those flows, and I was super confused and thought it was super hard to use.
Are we still talking about PenPod, or are you talking about another tool?
That's a different tool.
Abstract.com. Don't check it out.
Sorry, two people can talk about it. What's the name of the tool?
Abstract.
Abstract.
Yeah.
Like just abstract.
Yeah, and Figma has branching and merging, but only for their corporate accounts.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I see. Yeah, the version control for Sketch files. Yeah, who uses Sketch? Come on.
I know. The OG though.
Sorry, what was that?
It was the OG though.
The what?
The original. The OG, the original, like.
It was. Yeah, I mean, nothing against Sketch. It's just kind of funny. It was like, I feel like Sketch was like the hot, UX tool, and I feel like once they only allowed themselves to be on Mac, which is one thing that I think kind of hurt them, and then Figma came along and just made it so much easier to just drop a Figma link into a Slack channel and have people dive in. It's like I can't imagine going back now.
I know. I can't imagine going back from Figma either, to be honest. It's just brilliant.
So I think another good topic for a call could just be this general idea of spending a little bit more time dwelling on open source. So we think maybe we do a call that's kind of like this. That's not what I tried to do. There we go. Open source, not intuitive, participating in a company, how to get work done in open source, proposing work, rough consensus, stuff like that, and kind of look at the open design page on the design guide. So that might be a good place to start. Maybe we try to, do a read through of that page together and kind of see if that page needs to be improved, if it kind of answers some of these questions, or if there's places to improve on that page. So that would be a good one. And then open source design tools. Sorry.
So just real quick on open design, Johns and I have covered that a little bit in some of our presentation or conference presentations at FOSDEM and Figma Config. And I'm also doing a talk on Saturday morning at a conference about open design. So I'm always really interested in discussing that topic.
So that means you're leading that call, right?
Yeah, I'd love to share thoughts, but I'd also really love to hear what everybody else thinks about it.
And with these talks too, I'm almost like we were talking about working more video content into the guide. I wonder if that's like a good, like videos to be accompanied with the open design page. Yeah, so and then these are all things too we could look at, is just kind of reviewing these pages and all of that. So these two seem like real strong contenders for the next 2 calls. So I can go ahead and get these ones on the calendar here.
Sounds good, dude.
All right, cool. Yeah, so today was a little different, but thanks, David and Mili, for sharing your experience. Well, it was a real cool project that you two started. That's like one of those projects with a real world practical usage, I think. So excited to see if you two decide to take it somewhere or not, actually build it out further. But good stuff.
Awesome. Cheers, dude. Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now.